There we go. So, the semi-finals of the Halfa Legg League Cup have been completed. We know who will be in the final. So let's quickly go over the results and see where things lie. I will quickly skim over the first game and then talk mostly about the second game, because the first game originally ended 3-0 to Black Spike Feet, but on the recording there was some issues that were found that affected the game result, and a replay was ordered, and the replay was meant to be played on Tuesday night, apologies, which would have been the 11th of October, but the Roaring Juniors coach, upon getting there, decided that he did not wish to and conceded the result to the Black Spike Feet coach. So, the result officially is 3-0 on touchdowns and 3-0 on CAS, which overwrites the 3-0 on touchdowns and 7-0 on CAS to the Black Spike Feet team. Moving on to the Hodgepodge Villains versus the Break Your Leg team. It was a very, very close fought game that ended in 1-1, with the Hodgepodge Villains receiving first, and it was a very, very painful game for the Halfling team. They conceded a number of casualties, and at my last count, 6 in total from this game. Going into the overtime, which was to be played on a separate day due to time, things happen. In 6 turns into the overtime with the Hodgepodge Villains receiving, they did score, giving a final score of 2-0 to the Hodgepodge Villains. So now if we look at the updated table for touchdowns, passing, and completion, and casualties of the Halfa Legg Cup so far. Top of the table, we have the Hodgepodge Villains of Shufflefoot on 4, JD from the Break Your Legs on 2, Worst Boy of the Roaring Juniors on 2, and then the rest all on 1, which is Ashabar of the Black Spike Feet, Bad Boy of the Roaring Juniors, Baharaka of the Black Spike Feet, Biggest Steed of the Roaring Juniors, Cohen Butler of the Memento Moris, Draz Hoth of the Black Spike Feet, Jamie and Jesse of the Monster Mashers, Muttley of Tentacles Aros, Scylla of the Skull Splitting Sheelers, Tony Munchface of the Blue Shorts Boys, and Yashgar and Zatan of the Black Spike Feet. On to completions. No completions were made in this round of the Cup, which still leaves TC of the Tentacles Horus on 3 and Yaver of the Break Your Legs on 1. Casualties. There is now Stubby Weak Twig of the Hodgepodge Villains on 3, Gaston and Yavert of the Monster Mashers and the Break Your Legs on 2, and a whole host of people on 1, which are Astrogoth and Bazarak of the Black Spike Feet on 1, Penny of Tentacles Horus on 1, Biggest Steve of the Roaring Juniors on 1, Boo Boo of the Tentacles Horus on 1, Ron Brady of the Blue Shorts Boys on 1, Burr of the Break Your Legs on 1, Deep Roots of the Hodgepodge Villains 1, not the star player. We have El Haba and Fiona of They Break Your Legs on 1. We have Great and Stabby of the Blue Shorts Boys on 1, Jean Valjean of the Break Your Legs on 1, Morhoth of the Black Spike Feet, Plankton, Sandman, both of the Monster Mashers. We have Sandra of the Skull Splitting Shielders. We have TC of Tentacles Aros, Tony Munchface of the Blue Shorts Boys. We have Worst Boy of the Roaring Juniors, and Yashgar and Zatan, the Black Spike Feet. All done. Which will leave the Cup final to be the Chaos Dwarfs of the Black Spike Feet and the Halfling Hodgepodge Villains to meet in the final. It should be a good game. It's going to come down to how much can the Hodgepodge Villains recover from the casualties they received. Were many of them serious? I don't know. We was not told the severity, but hopefully a lot of them will be back at full strength for a full flinging final. Moving forward, as next week, which will be the 18th, it's going to be the final league matches of the season before going into the playoffs and then the cup final, which we've just seen. The Lilly-May Segunda division has a 3 fixtures lined up. The Tentacles Are Us versus the Hairy Rainbows, which is Lee versus Tom. The Badlands Blackhawks versus already champions Memento Moris, so that is Nigel versus Kai. We have the Blue Shorts Boys versus the Hodgepodge Villains, which is Ben versus Rob. And then going through to the Raki Kuriko Primera Division, we have the T-GOW CAS versus the Skull Splitting Sheilas, that's Stu versus me. We have the Roaring Juniors versus the Break Your Legs, which is Adam versus Liam. And then to finalise, we have the Monster Mashers versus Black Spike Feet, already champions, which is Sam versus Carl. Just to round off all of the final league matches, don't believe I kept the... I did. So, just to remind people of the fixtures remaining. So, the 4th of October's semi-final has now been concluded, which just leaves the 18th of October, the final round league fixtures. We have the 1st of November, which will be the league playoffs. We have the 15th of November, which will be that cup final. And then on the 29th will be the award ceremony, and then we will enter into between the seasons. Everyone can have a break and reset, make new teams, find new coaches, all that good stuff. And we will be able to introduce then the new coaches that are going to be joining, which from what we've heard, we should be gaining 3, which sounds promising. So I will see you all on the 18th.